What does abundance mean to you? We often think of it mainly as money, and that is how each of us might consider that because we need it. We need it to live and to survive and all of that. Some of us have attached it to our worth and value, our inside worth and value. But guess what? It's also energy. And everything in our world, everything within you is energy. And we control it. And the way that we control it is through our consciousness. And that is something that we learn over time. I've never been focused on money specifically, and those who know me know I've messed it up. I just screwed up so many things with money over the years. But now I understand that it was for a reason. It was so that you don't have to. It was so that you could do something quite different. Because that's what we're each meant to do when we come into this world. We have a unique life path that we're meant to follow. And if we do that, then we can give it to others and then we evolve, which is how our world evolves. I'm Roger Burnley, if you don't know me, and I've been a coach for a really long time. I've done so many different things, but I've also been a channel for Wilhelm. And what that has given me is a way for you to change your life and a way for us to change our world too. And that might come to you becoming abundant, because that would mean that you embody your authentic self, that you move into that place of authenticity. And my life was meant to bring it in and to demonstrate what is possible, not only for you, but for the world. And I can say those things and people say, well, that sounds so ridiculous, and how could that happen? Well, I put together a document for you to see so that you would know. First of all, I've lived it. And I had to prove it in a different way, which is why I had all the money difficulties, because if my ego had been involved, you would have thought that I was some of those other billionaires around now who are controlling everything with their use of money, which has happened. And that has happened throughout our history. And when you study history, you will not be so surprised at the conditions that are existing in our world today, because we're trying to find that new balance within us and within our world. And I was given that pathway. Years ago, I was writing things like I could become a billionaire and transform, because I could transform the world. And I knew that was true. But to have others believe it was really challenging and difficult, because I didn't know how I was believing it. But then I discovered something else. I started doing channeling, like many others, but I started really late. I didn't start until 2021 because I was never going to be in public. Now, I had been writing, doing automatic writing since 1989. And then what happened was, in 2021, that's when I knew it was going to be needed in our world, because we would be moving through some challenging times, especially in the United States. And all of that information I received. And I received it because I discovered I was a savant. And that was a specialized skill where I could interpret information from the quantum field, and then, but also to organize it in a way where it can help any person and our planet evolve, because we're all humans and we all operate in the same way. It's in consciousness. But that consciousness has also been formed through generations over time, and then we decide if we're going to move to a higher state of consciousness within ourselves, and that's how we attract the abundance that is meant to come into our lives when we become willing to own who we are. And I'm 75. And I am just doing it now because this is when it was meant to happen. It's meant to happen on February the 12th of 2026, which also happens to be my nephew's birthday, and I told him I'd give him a cut of the abundance that's going to come through, because that's what will happen. Everyone's not going to believe that, and that's why I am also shifting. I created a program called Your Last Development Program, which was from all of this work that I had, but it was really a little challenging for many people to believe what it could do, even though they've seen the results of that. And then because of that, I stopped myself. I held back, but I can no longer do that, because I also know where we're going to keep moving in our world, and we're going to need to raise our consciousness to be able to embody who we're meant to be. And I was given that gift. And you'll hear in some of the recordings that I did that your gift is kind of sometimes the thing that you fear the most, because that means you have to move into that place of embracing and owning yourself. And when you're different, which we all are, that can be challenging. But then when you do something completely unique, it's even a little more challenging because no one in history has done what I've done. You'll see those documents as well. But because I have created one of the greatest contributions to human consciousness that there is, I must start to own that and give it to others. Again, not everyone's going to accept that. That's how we change. We see people who are believing something completely different than what we believe, and so then you have to find your own truth. And what happens when you do that? You feel completely differently. You feel aligned with who you are, and that's when things start to change, which is why I'm changing it now. Now, the other thing you'll discover, and I've put all this together, I have never studied sciences. People think, astrology, all those things don't mean anything. They're all energy. And many people from history have studied that to give us more information about how we operate as humans. I've never studied any of them. However, the information that I was receiving, because again, I'm accessing universal consciousness and the quantum field. So I was putting things in order of the universe, which is why I knew the changes that would be happening, because energetic changes, galactic shifts in our world cause us to respond differently as humans. And then all the other things, again, when you think about ascension or self-actualization or anything like that, is always we have to look at the dark side of us and also within our society. And many times we're not willing to do that. Well, I had to do all of that, which is what attributed to all the healing, mind-body healing, everything that I experienced. And that's what I can now give to others. But as I said, today is going to be, or through tomorrow is going to be the last day that I'm taking private people into the program in the way that I've been doing it, because so many people are resistant. So it's going to be much better for me to work with private clients and then bring them in and give them the work that's included in the program, and to continue to work with those wonderful people who are in this work now, who have done some really great things, and you'll hear the testimonials from them as well, so you'll understand. But you have to decide at a certain point that you're going to really take the jump. You're going to really step into who you are. And sometimes you get pushed to do that. And that's how I feel, because when you're not doing that, you feel this pressure within you that says, no, I have to break out of this. I have to do that. And for me, that's today, which is still February the 11th, but I'm putting it out early so people have time to see this through tomorrow. Because then after that, I get to do the thing that I love, which is working with those people who want to become their best self. And I know that this information will take you there. And it's been documented and proven. It just takes others, some of us, me included, a long time to accept that, because it's challenging to believe something you've never seen before. And it was challenging for me to accept something that I hadn't ever seen in human history, and that it was me. It's the same for you. That's why you were born. Thank you so much for being here. Please share this with others, because I want more people to have this information, because the more people who are embracing themselves and becoming the highest versions of themselves, we will see something very different in our world, but more importantly, in your life. All right, I'll see you soon.